sustained Mavericks run right here.
Players we're not used to calling their names so far in this series stepping up.
They don't want to go home yet. Doncic drains another triple. Dallas Mavericks season not done yet. There will be a Game 5 in San Francisco.
Here's Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby.
What up,
is
though?
it that we
Boss
do?
up. We give the people what they want.
Joining us later on in the program is ESPN's new special correspondent, Angela Rye. Very excited about that conversation, but I was also excited about the Western Conference Finals continuing to a Game 5 because Luka Doncic and the Mavs shooters were shooting, and they shot themselves out of a sweep in the Game 5 in the Bay. What do you think about this performance from the Mavs?
Wow, wow, West. I wouldn't be the person to say I told you so, but if you watched the show yesterday, it's like I told you so. And you asked why in particular that I believe that the Mavs would win. Because they've already outplayed expectations, but more importantly, they got him. Ain't that what I told you? They got him. And when you got a player like that, almost like when AI took a game in the finals versus Shaq and Kobe, it's like you're not getting swept. And that's where it starts with Luka. And also the toughness that Jason Kidd has instilled in this team. And when you embody a terrific NBA season, Jacoby, you don't want to get swept on your home floor in front of the fans. And Reggie Miller, who was calling the game, alluded to it as we just teed this topic up. And shout to Finney Smith, who was making shots. It was great to see Bullock make shots, and Jalen Brunson has been terrific the entire season, in particular the postseason. But when people reference Cancun, let me bring y'all behind the curtain, because there are a lot of people talking about Cancun.
No one's going to Cancun anymore.
Nobody goes there.
No one's going to Cancun.
Nobody
We're not
goes
spring
there.
break. We're not 19 years old going on spring break. They got real money. They go to real vacation spots. You can check them in Bali.
And so
one of those hotel rooms over the sea. That's where they're going to go. Maldives.
So what you're describing is how the money in the game has changed. Because I've been a player that lost and team didn't make the playoffs that was in Cancun, hanging out at Daddy-O's. As a matter of fact, rest in peace to the notorious Big and Puff, because they were there too the time I was there. And for those that don't know where it came from, my brother infamously, Nick Van Exel, said it in a Laker huddle when he felt their season was about to be over. 1, 2, 3, and he said Cancun. The Mavs weren't ready for that, especially in front of their fans. Now, however, there's another term that I helped introduce to the lexicon. I ain't gonna take credit for it, but I helped introduce. It's called gentleman sweep. That's exactly what this is gonna be. And what does that also mean? You know, sports of leisure like golf or tennis, when you have to be quiet when the person is hitting or serving, it's a gentleman's way of behaving, right? So when you're up 3-0, you know you're gonna win. You know you're going to win because there hasn't been a team to come back from 3-0 in the history of the league, right?
It's 146
so now when the Warriors close it out.
146-0 teams that are up 3-0 in this series. So you know you're going to win. You got to go back to the Bay anyway. But Mr. Rose, sorry to interrupt, but my question for you is this: I'm looking at the Eastern Conference, right? And these are two teams that are injured. They're beating each other up. They're blowing each other out. This looks like it might go 7. How important is it for the Warriors to win Game 5, to get that rest, to get ready to play the winner of that tough series?
I know we're going to bring Angela Rye on to talk about this, but I have to say, I freaking love Steve Kerr. Like, I played against him. And people underestimate the fact that he has rings and things we sing about. He can bring them out. He got like 8 rings. But for those that don't know, his father was tragically killed in 1984. And going into that game, to see the level of emotion he had at the podium, and clearly it was second and thirded by so many people in his locker room and throughout our country, I reminded myself there's a score of the game and there's the game of life. And the Warriors will advance in this series, but I can't lie. I'm rooting for Steve Kerr. I really am.
So how important is it for them to not just advance in the series and get to the finals, but to win Game 5 to get the rest and to get healthy based on what you're seeing in the Eastern Conference Finals that you'll be following tonight?
I got you, family. And look no further than this year's postseason. You saw how the Sixers played extra games and ultimately got hurt and ultimately lost, right? This is what you don't want to have happen if you're the Golden State Warriors. You don't want to play extra games. You want to end this series. The one thing Kerr has done, though, he's extended his bench. It was good to see Kuminga play quality minutes also, and Moody's been playing good minutes. But again, you want to end the series, A, to get rest, B, to avoid injuries, but also, as long as you extend the series, the more confidence you're going to get the Mavs.
So, Jalen, I'm watching this game, and it wasn't particularly close, but there was one instance I was like, I need to talk to Jalen Rose about this. I have never seen this on a basketball court in my life. It was a free throw from Draymond Green. He shoots the free throw, and just explain to me what happens next.
The ball got stuck, and I've probably never seen that happen indoors when somebody shot the ball from in front of the rim. I don't believe I've ever saw that happen. Now, why does that happen? You got a flat jumper. You got a flat jumper.
Oh, come on, Draymond taking straight.
You know that's my family. You know that's Saginaw pride. But in all honesty, you can't guess that. You can't picture that. Like, he couldn't do that again if he wanted to. And that's the beauty of basketball. That was crazy.
That was crazy. We had a leak
In the series,
Do you want to pack for San Francisco or do you want to pack for Cancun?
sustained Mavericks run right here.
Players we're not used to calling their names so far in this series stepping up.
They don't want to go home yet. Doncic drains another triple. Dallas Mavericks season not done yet. There will be a Game 5 in San Francisco.
Whew, the Mavericks, they shot 47% from three last night, making 20 of their 43 attempts. It's a make-or-miss league after all. Golden State, they only shot 3 uncontested threes all night. The Mavs, 25 uncontested threes. So the Mavs, they're attempting over 41 threes per game this postseason. That leads the NBA, and in recent years, teams like the Rockets, the Jazz, they've shot even more than that. Do you actually enjoy, Richard, watching this brand of basketball?
Yeah, because it's not just three-point shots. I know we focus on that, but it's like how you get to them, the players that are creating them. They're still good shots. And, like, you can't fall in love with the Warriors because they are different. So every other team has to play a little bit different than the way the Warriors do.
Yeah, if you don't like this brand of basketball, you're going to have a problem for the next 10 or 15 years in the NBA because this is all there is. And to Richard's point, I think there's this idea that because everybody shoots tons of threes, every team looks the same. And that has never been true and is not even close to true. The Warriors play much different than the James Harden Rockets, and the Mavericks play much differently than both of those teams. They might all end up shooting a lot of threes, but the pathway there, the techniques there are different. I think the league is in a great place. I understand why some old school guys don't want 40, 50 threes every game. The math is. If you don't want that, you're going to have to change the rules somehow because the math has been discovered and it's not changing.
Yeah, but we haven't got great basketball, especially
We have not.
Especially in these finals, and it's due because of the lack of three-point shooting. Like if you go and look,
Like the
one
lack
team-
of three-point
I mean, like
Consistency.
teams not
Yeah,
being
yeah.
efficient, so the teams are getting blown out all because guys are passing up wide open layups to kick out for threes because that's what they're told to do. Space, go 5 wide, drive and kick, and look for the open three. And you know what else? It's ruining the upcoming generation of hoopers that's coming in. Look, I spend 10 to 12 hours a day on Saturdays and Sundays at an AAU gym watching my sons play basketball. And all I'm watching is a whole lot of children, a whole lot of kids develop bad habits and have bad tendencies because this is what the NBA, this is the example that they're setting.
Well, but are the kids trying to be Steph Curry or are they just catching the ball and shooting open threes? Those are two different things,
No,
right?
I'm literally watching kids have open lanes, driving to the basket for layups and driving all the way out to the corner to pull up for a three-point shot because of what they see on television.
But some of that is coaching, and I know we talk about that even on a lower level. Like, I understand that the game has evolved and had to change, but like our point, if you drive into the paint and then kick out, that's a much better three. So I think, I understand it can be frustrating, but ultimately, you know, if you teach the kids the right ways, those are going to be the ones that have the advantage.
Have you enjoyed watching that Western Conference Finals?
Well, I haven't enjoyed watching either of the finals.
Okay.
They've both been trash.
Okay, my point exactly.
I'm a grumpy person.
Yeah,
That's it.
But the myth of all this is the analytics is like this villain that has changed the game. It's all threes. But what analytics has done is every team that shoots a lot of threes still thinks and knows the most valuable shot in the game is a layup or a dunk. What's really happened is that pull-up mid-range jumpers by non-star players. Stars still take a lot of those shots, have turned into threes. Are we really like that angry about that? Because that's what's happened.
No,
Yes.
and I think, but that's Perks. But that's your point. Star players still do it.
Yeah.
Right. Star players still do it, and I just think when you're teaching young players, you should teach them the entire game, not the little triggers of three or dunk or layup. You got to teach them the whole game.
Well, speaking of stars, the star of the game was no doubt Luka Doncic, right? 30 points, 14 rebounds, 9 to